photos have been taken at UBarU either in the summer, like when I was there for summer camp, or in this past November, September or November of this past year. So here we go. We're going to kind of follow the rainbow. I didn't really know how to organize this presentation, so I just thought I would go with the rainbow. And we'll start off with red. Oh, right. I'm the keeper of the school garden at my school, and we have this amazing botanical garden in downtown Goldthwaite. So if you're ever driving through, you should stop and visit it. It's really amazing. And you should come look at my school garden as well. But we started about 5 years ago, and I have learned something every year watching the plants, how they have changed. The first year, I didn't know this one particular plant, and I'll show it to you in the presentation. And I just let them grow up, and they covered everything. And I lost a lot of plants because I didn't know I needed to weed out some of them. So, and some people kind of get on to me a little bit. They're like, just looks like a bunch of weeds. Well, they're native wildflowers. And so, yeah, they do look like weeds sometimes. So the first plant, this is one of my favorites, and this is by the pink house. This is on the back side of the pink house, and this is the flaming sumac, and you probably see them as you drive around in Texas. This was all that was left. Most of all the leaves had fallen off of it. This is on the back side of the building, and I just love the way they change colors, and there were a lot of them on the ground, but they weren't particularly pretty on the ground. So flaming sumac is one of my favorite, and it is poisonous. So you don't want your kiddos or your dogs to be eating any of it. It does have some berries, and so you really want to watch it with the kids and the dogs. Oh, the Texas red oak. It is one of my favorites, and it's so unassuming all throughout the year until fall. And then, wow, it puts on a show. I love that this one is labeled. There are several red oaks planted at the very front of the property there at UBarU, right by the treehouse. And then down kind of around that Sometimes Creek. And they were really putting on a show the week before Thanksgiving. I think I have a couple of pictures. Oh, this is one on the walk just up from the ranch house. This is the same tree that I just took those photos from. So it really depends on where you're standing. I did not filter these at all. Okay, I'm not telling the truth. Those are at the tree house down at the front of the property. This one I took a lot of pictures from too, and it just depends. I went right at sunset, and I got some really nice photos looking through them. But you can see the difference between the red oak and the live oak, the contrast really clearly right here, because those live oaks in the background are still green. This is an interesting plant, Agarita. It is very spiky. It will poke you. It's starting to change colors here, and you can see something's been nibbling on it too, which I find very unusual. But Agarita has yellow flowers in the spring, and then it produces these red berries that people eat. You can eat them and make jelly out of them. They're really beautiful. I bet the Agarita is really gorgeous in red. So Michael, you'll have to look this weekend when you go down there. I have noticed that some of the Agarita around here is still all green. So I don't know what makes it change colors. Oh, this is an example. I love wildflower.org. This is a great source. It's the Lady Bird Johnson Wildflower Center in Austin, and they'll tell you about different plants. You can look them up. So for example, the Agarita, the wildlife what they like, and then, you know, the fruit and the roots were used, and the, you know, it just tells you all about the plants. And so I have their website also at the end. The next red, which is also a little bit of orange and yellow, is the Firewheel. I grew up calling these Mexican pinwheels. Some people call them Indian wheels or Indian blankets. I prefer Firewheel because they are just such a fun wildflower. I really love these. I love the fuzzy spiky ball, the seed head that it makes after the petals fall off. This is, as you can see, by the large labyrinth. And I took this back last summer. They love the heat. And these are the flowers that the first year I had my native garden at school, the people who helped us with it just seeded our the area. And I did not know that, you know, all these wildflowers were going to come up. I just thought they were going to put plants in it. Well, I had a garden full of firewheels and it snuffed out some of my other plants. I was not too happy about that, but I learned. And so from now on, I let some of them come up, but I've recognized what they look like. And so I can pull some of them out, and I've even successfully transplanted some when they were little. But after they go to seed in a garden type area, they will take over. So I try to pull out at least half of them, and they don't have much of a root. So once they turn brown, it's very easy to just pull out, you know, about 50% of what you have. And then that way next year, they don't come back too heavy in your garden space. Now these, I have not seen any of these out at UBarU. This is my favorite red wildflower. It's Texas Plume. I just love that name. And it has an unusual evolution as a plant. It's not a perennial, it's a biennial. It takes like 1.5 to 2 years for it to get to the point of blooming. And hummingbirds love these and have a bunch of seeds. I'm hoping maybe I can scatter some next time I go out there. But they are just so gorgeous, and it's so much fun to watch the hummingbirds dance around these. In the background, you can see, you can see the Maximilian sunflowers. I'll mention those in a minute, but I forgot I had that photo too. Here's another shot. This was after a rain, so they do look kind of dewy, and I'm looking straight down at it. You can see at the base of the plant, it forms a rosette, and it's really kind of a Dr. Seuss looking little thing before it shoots up its large stem. And they're my favorite red wildflower. I just adore them. Can't forget the lantana. And I have not seen any lantana out at UBarU. Maybe we could put some out there and see how they do. Because, you know, in the garden, I water them a little bit. But out at UBarU, nobody will be watering them. So we'd have to really kind of research where, you know, to put them to where they would grow the best. But the yellow ones are so delightful. They make me happy. These are my favorite color. They remind me of my grandmother, the pink and yellow. I'm sure they have a name, but I don't know what they are. Just I think of my grandmother, and she had a huge lantana bush of these colors. The wildflower that I learned the most about this past summer was this one, the Cutleaf Daisy. I've had it in my garden for several years, but it just kind of was crowded out by everything else. And this year, between Goldthwaite and Llano and Marble Falls, these Cutleaf Daisies were just amazing back in the spring, like April, May, June, and July. They were crazy. They were just so abundant. And they're kind of a simple flower. You know, you can see they're just the simple circular shaped wildflower, but they put out so many blooms and the bees love them. We got to do a ladybug release because of COVID. Nobody else, you know, we couldn't have a bunch of kids do it. So just my kids participated in it. This is my daughter, Mary. And this is a unique wildflower because it stays green all year. At least it does here in Goldthwaite. Up further north, it might not, but I would think in Houston and Corpus and you know, I would think in Kerrville too. So maybe we could plant some of these out at UBarU. But they just have this little round, bushy, it's like a bowl turned upside down. That's kind of the shape of it. And that's what I took this photo recently. So they just stay green all year round. Ah, this was when we went to Enchanted Rock. We took the campers up to Enchanted Rock, and these, I believe, I am not for sure, but I think they are a Coreopsis, sometimes called Tickseed, something like that. There's some more of them. And this is actually, the other yellow that you see is, I believe, sort of a moss that's going along the rock there. But I think those are Coreopsis. I could be wrong. There it is up close. Oh, yes, Tickseed. It's kind of a simple little flower, but it's got that maroonish color in the middle also. All right, these grow in abundance out at UBarU. I had never heard them called the flannel plant before. I thought that was neat. I've always just called them mullen. They are soft and fuzzy. The leaf, you can just, you know, rub the leaf on your cheek, or, you know, it feels so soft between your fingers. A lot of people use this medicinally. Supposedly you can make tea out of it. You can dry the leaves and smoke it for asthma. That's what I've heard. I've never tried that. But it does have a lot of medicinal uses. This one has already flowered. I took this one, I think in September. But these, oh, that's what it looks like early in the spring before the stem comes up. I just love it's not symmetrical, but it's really beautiful. These are some of the blooms from June when I was there for camp. So they have these bright yellow blooms. And then that stalk forms a seed head, and you can break them off and scatter seeds and they'll grow. This one really had a lot. Normally, I think they usually only have one stalk coming up. So this one may have been nibbled on by the deer or some other creatures, and it caused a lot of stalks to rise up around the edges. And they don't care what kind of soil. Mullen will grow in any kind of soil. You know, this area right here, this is behind the pink house and the other one. It is rocky soil right there, and they love it. They grow there just fine. So we get to green, and everything's green, right? I don't know who made these heart-shaped prickly pear. I'm not sure how I feel about that, but they are kind of cute. I don't know, have mixed emotions about it. I'm sure someone came along with a nice little knife and cut that divot in there. That does not happen naturally in nature, as far as I know. But the prickly pear, I have not seen them blooming at UBarU, but I've seen them, I've seen them blooming. Oops, I got out of order. Okay, prickly pear. Oh, I put that one in the wrong place. Okay, so this is a nice shot that I took back in September. It had already bloomed, so you can see the purple, the remnants of the bloom. That purple right there is a tasty treat for lots of different critters at UBarU. Rabbits like to eat that. They have a hard time getting to it. And armadillos really like to eat those. So those are really tasty. The after bloom. I don't know what you call that. I'm sure there's a botanical name for that. All right. This is my favorite sunflower, and I have them in my gardens, and I have them planted at my house. And if you want some and you're coming through, I'll dig you up some and let you have some. They are awesome. I really love them, and they can grow 7, 8, 9 feet tall, and the whole way up will just be full of flowers. And right now I have left them, and the birds are just all over eating those seeds. So Maximilian sunflower is amazing for this area. I completely got those out of order. That was supposed to be in the yellow. Sorry about that. These are some of the acorns that I took back in September right by the swimming pool. That tree that hangs over the swimming pool has some funny looking little acorns. We had a lot of fun looking at them, but the live oaks are just gorgeous out there at UBarU. And these little critters love to play in the live oaks. And that was the only tree I saw them in back in June, back last summer for not 2020, but 2019 for camp. And these are the guys that make all that noise. And I'm not even really sure what they're called. But they were so much fun. They were so loud though. And this little guy, I said, be careful. I don't know what kind of cactus this is, but they grow all over the place out there at UBarU. And they start off really, really tiny, and you really can't see them, and you might step on them and not even know it. This one may be right beside the ranch house. I think there's one right beside the ranch house, and I arranged a few rocks around it so that nobody would step on it. Oh, now this was when we were there the week before Thanksgiving, and I didn't get a great picture of it. I'm terribly sorry. And I have no earthly idea what it is. It's a mystery bloom. This was, we walked the loop all the way around to the labyrinth and up and back. And this was just along the way. It was right beside that area where there's a lot of cactus. And I just looked down and I said, well, hello there. I don't know what you are, but you're cute. It was a mystery blue. I don't know what it was. Sure wasn't a blue bonnet. Speaking of blue bonnets, of course, everyone loves the blue bonnet, and people think I'm crazy at school because I'll just sit on the ground out in front of the garden taking pictures of them from all different angles and up close and far away and upside down. And but I love the blue bonnets. And here's one thing: if you've never sat and watched a bee buzzing around a blue bonnet and watched the way a bee will open up those little bonnets, it is amazing to watch a bee pollinate with a blue bonnet. Here's a picture from kind of far back. That's my garden. The blue bonnets, I love them. I wish they would stay longer. They just don't stay long enough. So now we're to purple. This is a mystery thistle. I'm not really sure. I don't know what it's called. I could look it up, but I just think that they are gorgeous and they're fun. They're just fun, but yet they still have this serious back off, don't touch me kind of look to them with those spiky parts coming out from the bottom. I like this photo on the left because it showed one that was going to seed, and then there was one right beside it that was still blooming gorgeously. And I just thought that was kind of fun to see the different cycles of the plant. Oh, there's one more. This was on the walk from the ranch house up that hill. I like in this photo, you can see the different colors of purple, the different shades. All right. Probably the easiest purple flower to grow is called purple Greg's Mist. And if you would like some of this and you are driving through Goldthwaite anytime in the next 6 months, please let me know and I will meet you and dig you up some. It will take over an area, but oh my goodness, the monarchs love this plant. They love it. I think they love it more than they love the milkweed that we have planted for them. But the purple Greg's Mist is really nice. It's a bright green. You can see in the lower right-hand corner how bright green the leaves are. This photo has some that are going to seed and some that are still blooming. But I took this photo in October when the monarchs were coming through. So I think I have another picture of a monarch. Yes, this was also taken in October. We had one particular afternoon, I went home for lunch, and when I walked out, I was just overwhelmed. There were easily 100 monarchs in this small little garden space that we had. They were all over the place. It was delightful. So purple Greg's Mist, put that on your list. They love it. So the small labyrinth doesn't have any, I didn't notice any. There might have been some very tiny little wildflowers, but there were a lot of native grasses around it. And so, Michael, I'm kind of wondering if y'all have planted some of these out there, but around this particular labyrinth, I noticed Sidotes grama. I noticed several little mully grasses, muley or mully, I don't know how to pronounce that. I noticed a little bit of blue stem, and then I didn't really know what I'm still learning about the native grasses. That's next on my list to learn about. But my son, he really loves the labyrinth. He's 9 years old, and that's one of his favorite places. This and then probably the treehouse are his favorite spots. So this is a photo I took. I believe I took this in June, and this is in my school garden. And I tried to get to where I could see the most variety of flowers that I have in my garden. So just kind of squint your eyes a little bit and see how many different flowers you can count there. So flowers and plants, there's at least 12 different ones in this photo. One purple that I did not put in the previous slides is the one you prominently displayed here in the front. That is horse mint. It goes by some other names. It is extremely aromatic. One of the ladies here in Goldthwaite, she and I were talking about it, and I said, the horse mint stinks so bad. And she corrected me, it is aromatic. This fun purple one up here kind of looks like a thistle, but it's American basket flower, or some people call it Texas basket flower. These back in here are the sunflowers. The Maximilian sunflowers don't bloom until at least August or September. They don't like to bloom very early. You can see some of the blue bonnets down in the very bottom right. Some of them have gone to seed, and there's a few still blooming. This photo it makes me happy. I have a copy of it in my classroom because it shows so much variety. So my number one source is the Ladybird Johnson Wildflower Center. I love their website. They have just about everything on there, and they're very helpful there too. I have called them and asked questions. They have very helpful biologists, wildflower people there. And some people ask me, you know, I don't know what this plant is, you know, should I get an app? And I I have tried apps, but I have had the best luck with just using the Google Lens, and I can show y'all how to do that after the presentation if you're curious. But it's, you know, it's free. You just have to have the Google app on your smartphone. And so I guess some questions I have is, you know, I've seen some of the plants, like there's a mountain laurel. That's a lovely blue, bluish purple flower. There's a mountain laurel planted out in front of the ranch house, and it's been labeled. And I've noticed there were a few things labeled with those neat stakes that are in the ground. And I'd like to, you know, learn some of the history of who has done that. And um, I'm silly. I know there's probably a committee for that. I'm not asking to be on it, but I would just love to, you know, find out the UBarU process for how that's been done. I just wanted to end with one of my favorite photos that I took of a hummingbird there at the main meeting house. We sat out there and I snapped this photo somehow. I just thought it was a funny little photo of a hummingbird. Of course, they come to the feeders, but there is plenty of flowers out there at UBarU for the hummingbirds. Maybe we can plant some more in the future. Alrighty, that's my presentation.